When my parents' restaurant failed, they told me my athletic brother deserved their support and I should live with my aunt who needed help with her farm. I was 15 when my mother called me into their bedroom. She sat on the edge of the bed, hands folded, looking at the carpet. She said Aunt Maggie was struggling with the farm and needed help. I was good with my hands, patient with animals. Cameron needed to focus on his training. His soccer scholarship applications were due in 2 years and he couldn't afford distractions. I asked if this was temporary. She said we'd see how it goes. I asked why Cameron couldn't help instead. She looked at me like I'd asked something stupid. Because he has a future, she said. Then caught herself and added, I mean, a different kind of future. You understand? I didn't understand, but I nodded anyway. My father came in carrying garbage bags. He started pulling clothes from my dresser, shoving them in without folding. I asked if I could pack my own stuff. He said we needed to leave before dinner rush started at the restaurant, except there wasn't a dinner rush anymore. There hadn't been one in months. The parking lot stayed empty and the food sat under heat lamps until it dried out. He was just avoiding looking at me. Cameron appeared in the doorway with his soccer ball under one arm. He watched Dad pack my life into 4 garbage bags. I asked if he was going to say anything. He bounced the ball once, twice, then said, good luck, I guess. That was it. 15 years of sharing a room, stealing each other's clothes, fighting over the TV remote. Good luck, I guess. Aunt Maggie lived 2 hours north in a town called Millbrook. Population 1-200. 1 stoplight, 3 churches, a feed store and a gas station that sold bait. Her farm was 80 acres of struggling corn and a dozen dairy cows that barely produced enough to break even. She met us at the door and told my parents she appreciated this. Appreciated. Like I was a favor they were doing her. Like I was a donation to Goodwill. She showed me to the back room. A twin bed, a dresser with a broken drawer, and a window that looked out at the barn. She said she was sorry it wasn't much. I told her it was fine. She said she knew why I was really there. That my parents had called 2 weeks ago, desperate, asking if she needed help. She'd said no at first because she couldn't afford to feed another person. They'd offered to send money for my food, $300 a month. She'd agreed because she needed it. That was my value. $300. Cost of doing business. The first month was the worst. I'd wake up at 4:30 a.m. to help with milking. Spend the morning cleaning stalls and mending fences. Afternoons were for whatever needed doing. Tractor maintenance, chicken coop repairs, hauling feed. My hands cracked and bled. My back seized up. I called my mom after 2 weeks. Asked when I could come home. She said Cameron had a big tournament coming up. The whole family needed to focus on that. Maybe after. I called again a month later. Dad answered. Said the restaurant was still struggling and they were living off credit cards. Maybe Christmas. Christmas came. I got a text from Cameron showing off his new cleats. $700 Nikes. Top of the line. I texted back asking about visiting. He left me on read. Aunt Maggie noticed me staring at my phone during dinner. She said my parents had stopped sending the $300 after the first payment. She'd called twice. They said they'd send it soon. Never did. She was keeping me anyway because she figured I needed someone and she couldn't send a kid back to people who didn't want him. I started at Millbrook High after Christmas break. Junior year, new school, knowing nobody. Wore the same 4 shirts in rotation because we couldn't afford more. Kids noticed. Called me farm boy. Asked if I smelled like cow shit. One guy, Derek Huang, was different. His parents owned an organic farm 3 miles east. 60 acres of vegetables they sold at farmers markets in the city. He sat with me at lunch the first week. Said he recognized the look. Someone who didn't choose farm life but was stuck in it anyway. We became friends. He taught me about crop rotation, soil pH, integrated pest management. His parents ran their farm like a business. Spreadsheets, market analysis, customer relationships. Not like Aunt Maggie, who planted the same corn every year and hoped for rain. I spent weekends at Derek's farm. His dad, William, treated farming like engineering. Every decision backed by data. He showed me their books. Showed me how they netted $80,000 a year on 60 acres, while conventional farms 3 times that size barely broke even. The difference was direct sales. No middlemen, no commodity prices. Just customers who paid premium rates for quality. I asked if I could help. He said he'd pay me $10 an hour. I worked every Saturday and Sunday. By senior year, I was managing Derek's farm's entire irrigation system. I'd taught myself basic coding and built a program that monitored soil moisture levels and automated watering schedules. Saved them 30% on their water bill. William paid me a $500 bonus and wrote me a college recommendation letter. I applied to State Agricultural University. Got in with a partial scholarship. Aunt Maggie cried when the acceptance letter came. Said she was proud. First time anyone had said that to me in 3 years. I called my parents to tell them. But that's when things took a turn I never expected. Full story is linked below or on my channel.